Okay, hi Gina. How are you today?
Good, thank you. How are you?
Good. So it's great to come here live on Facebook with you and talk
Yeah,
about your journey because you have quite a journey and you just shared with me some absolute nuggets of gold about where you've gone to and some of the things that led you to be your own boss. So I just want to say
yeah,
thank you for everybody, all the women that have joined me for these interviews. It's been really enlightening and I've made some fantastic contacts and picked up some absolute gems of wisdom along the way. And I also want to remind everybody that 17th of August, I'm launching Ignite Your Passion 5-day challenge where I'll be helping women to find what they're passionate about and turn it into their purpose and money. So turn it into their income, rather than a side hustle, to turn it into something that's really, really important. And I think for myself, when I was going through getting back into work, it wasn't about the money. It was about feeling of value in the community. Would you agree with that, Gina?
yeah, absolutely.
Feeling of value. So Gina's here today to tell us about her story, and Gina's a product photography specialist, which
Yeah,
if you've ever looked at photos, that little, click it with your phone, and people that take, portrait photos, it's definitely different. There's definitely something about product photography, isn't there?
yeah, absolutely. It's very important for anyone. Well, product and brand photography, it's just super important nowadays to look trustworthy online and look professional online. Because if you take those photos with your phone and then slap a little filter and upload them, um, they just don't quite cut it anymore.
Yeah, and
Uh,
getting the lighting right, that's important.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And having, yeah, just really good quality images.
How's my light? Do I look like I was
Yeah, you're
recording
doing
these videos and it was like light on one side and I look like a crook.
okay. No, I think it looks good.
Anyway, Gina, tell us about your journey. Tell us about where you came from and how you got to be a product and brand specialist, photography specialist.
Okay, well, I'm from New Zealand, as you can probably tell. um, so, yeah, I grew up there, and throughout high school, I was, almost an A student, I would say, doing quite well. And then when I was 15, I got ME/CFS, which is chronic fatigue syndrome. And so my whole life just changed, basically. I
Mm.
went from being a normal, healthy person and teenager and to someone who couldn't get out of bed. Um, so since then, I've not been able to school, study, or work full time. Um, so that's obviously had a massive effect on my life and my education and work life and all of that. And yeah, like I tried to finish school, many years and just had to drop out, halfway through because I couldn't do it. And I also did half a bachelor's degree as well, but just was unable to finish it. So yeah, and then I think about 7 or 8 years ago, I followed an ex-boyfriend of mine over to Australia because I always knew I wanted to live in Australia.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And now I'm here doing what I'm doing now.
And so you were doing some different part-time roles because that's what you could
Yeah.
reasonably do around your illness. So what sort of roles
Yeah.
were they?
Sorry, what was that?
What sort of roles were they?
Just like retail, hospitality. I worked for quite a while as a bartender, and then I worked for the North Face, just in retail. And my main role that I had for the longest, and that was I was actually an office manager for a small business in New Zealand, and that was a great role for me because it was finally I felt like I had a real job, even though I wasn't full time, but I was very important in that role. Um, so yeah, um, that's basically what I've done up until I started photography.
And that feeling important in your role, that's what I talk about when I say feeling like you're valued in the community. When I got back into my work, when I got back into work, it wasn't about the money. It was about feeling like I was part of something.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. That business needed me. If I didn't do my job there, you know, they would have really suffered. And what I did there allowed my boss, my employer, to, you know, take off for weeks at a time and go on his holidays, and I just kept everything running. So
Wow.
um, so for a long time that was really important for me. Yeah.
But then you
Yeah.
were saying that because of your health, you were not felt. I was saying, like I've been saying, if you feel overlooked, but it's actually a reality. You are overlooked if you know.
Yeah. So it was an interesting transition, because in that it was okay that I was part-time. I could work as much as I wanted to, and I could choose my hours. So that's how it worked really well. And then what happened was we were planning to kind of expand a bit and go out and try to get our products into other stores in New Zealand. And I put my hand up to my boss and I said, hey, I'd love to be a part of that. I'd really like to go out and kind of do that process of talking to those people and selling. And he actually laughed in my face and said, no, Gina, you can't do that. You're way too timid.
Um,
And I realized, like, that was the day that I decided I was going to leave that job, because I couldn't keep working for someone who never saw me as being able to do anything more than what I was doing. And I didn't realize how much of a box he had actually put me in.
mm,
and and it just kind of felt terrible. And so, yeah, I think it was a few months later that I left, but that was the day I was like, oh, I can't actually stay here, because I'll never be anything more than what I'm doing now. And, you know,
mm.
you get bored and you want to try new things and move up and that kind of thing. So
But
he had decided for me what I was capable of.
that's shattering.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I feel shattered for you.
Yeah. I was kind of like, I knew he was, you know, he was a bit like that at times, but never just straight to me, like someone telling you, no, you wouldn't be capable of doing that. It
Mm.
was just such a strange thing. Even though we actually had a very good relationship, I didn't really know what to do with that other than move on.
Good on you. So how did you decide to go into photography? What led you to that?
Well, in the half degree that I completed, I was studying graphic and web design, and in that you have to do photography as well. So I had done that in uni, and studying that actually made me hate photography. So, I didn't pick up a proper camera for maybe 10 years or something. And actually, then I went to Heron Island on the Great Barrier Reef here.
Mm.
And I spent a week snorkeling and just looking at the sharks and the stingrays and the turtles. And I just came away from that wishing that I could have photographed all of that.
Oh,
And I came home and I bought my first like proper DSLR camera in 10 years. And I decided that once it arrived, I would teach myself how to use it properly and in manual. And I will never use like the auto functions. I wanted to learn everything about it. So I learned it very quickly, but I spent 1 year teaching myself all the other aspects of photography and practicing and photographing people and myself and nature and all of that. And that's kind of how I got started. So I think I did that for a year before I decided that I'm going to now make this a business.
good on you. So we
Yeah.
talked about before you were part-time and now you're working for yourself and you still have some health issues that are quite serious.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, I have ankylosing spondylitis, which is an autoimmune disease, as well as ulcerative colitis. They often actually go together.
Mm.
And as I mentioned earlier, the chronic fatigue syndrome, ME/CFS. So there's a few things going on there, and it kind of leaves me fluctuating between being able to work, maybe from one day a week to a few days a week. So I really needed something that worked for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And not like the last job that I had here in Australian retail, just part-time, I was just dying in that role because I was part-time, so I could never go up anywhere. I could never advance in that. And it was just like soul destroying.
Yeah.
And
So you need to be able to work and like get the absolute most out of the time when you're well.
yes.
Whereas when you're working for someone else, when you're in retail or corporate or whatever, you have to go there in their time frame,
Yeah.
not when you can actually be your best.
Yeah.
So you get to juggle that, and I presume you get a better financial outcome, because when you're working for yourself, you know it's income for you rather than you're part of
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that's right. It's definitely helped with all that. I mean, like running a business is hard, but um, it's also all dependent on me, which is both good and bad. Like, sometimes it's easy to just turn up and have someone else make all the decisions, but the important decisions for me are the ones when I work, how much I charge, like who I work with.
Yeah.
Um, those are the most important for me and my health. So I get to make those now, which is really good.
Yeah. How much you charge and who you work with. So Katie that I was talking with this morning said the same thing. You get to decide who you work with. Whereas
Yes.
when you're working for someone else, they might put someone else on that is not a fit, is not a match,
Yeah.
or they might put another manager in that makes it hard for you to whatever. But when you do
Yeah.
it for yourself, you get to make those calls. You get to make those
Yeah.
decisions. And the
Yeah.
other thing she said is make a decision. And once you make a decision, like then like the part before you make decisions, if you stay in retail or stay in your corporate, you're stuck in a sort of twilight zone of dancing to someone else's tune. But if you make a decision and step out, then it's yours.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing. So, what would you say to somebody who might be in your position, somebody, like you and me, I have to work around my daughter with special needs,
Yeah.
somebody like yourself that has health that you have to work around. What would you say to somebody who is sitting on the sidelines and can't decide to make a decision or not?
I mean, really, I'd just say go for it. I mean, I know that's scary and I know that's very hard, but there wasn't some enormous process for me. It was more or less, it was a very quick decision for me to decide, okay, I'm going to create a business and do this. It wasn't a long time in making. I just realized, look, I've got this skill that I can do and I don't require much else to do it. Like I already had the gear. All I needed was my laptop and my camera and a few other things here and there, and I kind of just jumped in and did it. And I don't know that that's the best way to do it, but it's a way.
Yeah. I think
And
I think that's gold right there. Like if you're thinking about starting up a business, you don't need that much to get started. Like I
no,
think a lot of what holds people up is that they think that you need to have everything perfect, or they think that you need a big income, or they think that you need a lot of money in the bank. Often it's on the back of the skills that you already have or the things that you already have.
yeah, absolutely. And I think as well, like in this day and age, it's easier than ever, especially if you can do anything like technical or online is just becoming easier and easier to do that, to work from home, to market yourself without paying lots of money, and all these things have become kind of accessible to anyone.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just think if you're suffering like that and you want to do it, you should at least try it. You've got to try.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's liberating to make the decision. But you know what? I've worked with a number of clients that I started with in this lockdown.
Yeah.
And I've just finished over the last couple of weeks with a series that I was doing coaching with these women, and they achieved their outcomes, and we only did it online.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's been since lockdown, so it is possible.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyone listening to this, if you want to achieve your outcomes, I'm here to help you.
Yeah.
Take those steps. So I'd really love to see you share some of your work in the group as well, so that we can see, because seeing professional product and branding photos is different. So I'd really love you to share some of that, and to share how to get in touch with you and your link after the conversation as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll do that.
Thanks, Gina. It's been so lovely to talk to you. So
Yeah, you too.
I hope you have a great rest of the day. And yeah, so
Thanks so much for having me, and hi to everyone. And yeah, I'll leave some comments below.
now make sure you share your links and your photos. All right, see ya.
All right, see ya. Bye.